Hi friends, my name's Coco. Thanks for joining me today. I thought I would make this video to continue the series on the yamas and the niyamas that I've been doing. Following the 8 limbs of yoga, we're diving into these yamas to help us have this moral guideline that can help us on the mat and off the mat. So today we will be talking a little bit about the yama Aparigraha, the idea of non-greed, non-attachment, non-possession, and also the idea of Saucha, which is the idea of purity and cleanliness and purification. So grab whatever you need to prepare yourself for a 60-minute basic yoga flow, knowing that you can always add on whenever, however you wish. So, all right, let's meet on our mat. Trevor, no. All right, so coming to our mat in Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, and coming to a nice laying down position, keeping the lower back nice and rooted with the earth, nestling the shoulders under, and allowing them to really connect. And then bringing the hands here to the heart and the belly. Maybe gently closing the eyes or just softening the gaze down towards the nose. And then pushing the feet in towards one another, finding that spot where this diamond of the legs is good for you, whether that's pulling the legs in or getting them out nice and far. And then take a nice deep breath in and release it out. Nice, this time switching in through the nose and out through the mouth, sighing it out. One more time, letting whatever worries or cares that you had prior to stepping on your mat today, just to release them out. Inhaling together. Taking a breath here and just really allowing yourself to land in this space here on your mat. Wherever you're doing this, at home, in a studio, at work, in your bathroom. Just taking a moment here to gently allow yourself to dive into this journey today. To come into this idea of non-attachment, not being attached to the end results of your practice today, but instead being here in the journey, being in each asana, each breath, and allowing yourself to just really feel. To not only feel, but to dive into this practice today to help rid your mind space, your emotional space, your energetic blocks of anything that's not serving you, anything that's tainting your purity, whether it's energy or negative thoughts. And allow the next 60 minutes to help you just feel refreshed, renewed, re-inspired. We'll take a few more breaths here, maybe setting an intention, a mantra, maybe just committing to your breath. Nice. We're going to gently release out, bringing the arms overhead. And then extending the legs out long, taking up the entire space on your mat here. Reaching from head to toe, pointing and flexing the feet, wiggling the fingers, I always yawn when I'm here. And just feel like you just woke up, taking the biggest stretch you have today. Maybe wiggling the hips back and forth. Maybe shrugging the shoulders. Nice. Beautiful. And then we'll gently bring the right knee into the chest. Giving yourself a nice tight squeeze. Moving the leg from side to side to start to work into the hips. Yeah. Pointing and flexing that toe again. And then switching legs here. Bringing the left leg in. Giving it a nice tight squeeze. Trying to keep the lower back on the ground here. Yeah, as you point and flex the toe and just feel it out in the hips. Nice. And then we'll bring both knees in here. Bringing the legs to tabletop pose. Drawing the legs towards one another and making sure the lower back's really rooted into the earth. We're going to bring the palms onto the tops of the knees. And we're going to exhale here. As we inhale. And exhale, pull the knees close. Inhale, push them away. Exhale, pull the knees close. Inhale, push them away. Exhale, pull the knees close. Inhale, push them away. A few more times. Exhale. Inhale. Beginning to feel the pelvic tilt here. As the lower back becomes flush with the earth. And then you're finding that nice little curvature in the lower back when you push away. One more time, exhale, inhale, draw the knees back into center, rock side to side on the lower back here. Nice, bringing the legs up the wall, finding this nice waterfall position, keeping an ample bend in your knees here as needed. Flexing the toes down towards the face and bringing the hands out alongside of you. Yeah, nice. And just allowing here all of the lymph fluid, all of the blood to come down into the belly to act like a shot of espresso here in the body, helping the body energize and warm up, turning on the core. I keep looking up because my dog is on the other side of this little gate I made in my living room. Nice. A few more breaths here, drawing the legs towards one another, sticking with it even if it gets a little difficult. Nice. Gently hug the knees into the chest. Beautiful. And we'll drop the feet down towards the mat and heel toe them to the outer edges of the mat here, dropping the knees in towards one another. Breathing into any tightness or tension. And allowing the body to soften here. Coming into this idea of not being possessive. Not being possessive with other people or time. And not trying to be attached to this idea of control. Right? Like often we are so, myself personally speaking, I can get so caught up in this idea of trying to control the situation, the outcome. So right here, wherever you're at in your journey, in your yogic journey, your journey of life, inhale. And exhale, let go of what you can't control. Inhale through the nose. And exhale what you can't control. Inhale what you can control. And exhale what you can't control. Let's add some movement to the knees by dropping one leg in towards center at a time. Going as slow, as fast as you need. Stopping in any spots where there's tension or you just need to work a little bit more out. So things that we can control are our emotions, our actions, our responses, our words. We can control even our energy. We can control our breath. And we can show ourselves here on our mat that by breathing through it and choosing to breathe and not be attached to the outcome of a situation, that when we are off our mat and we come into these difficult situations, that we can just make it through. We can take a deep breath and take a moment to respond and be responsive instead of reactive. Beautiful. Gently heel toe the feet back to center. And we're going to extend the legs out long, draw the right knee in towards the chest. And now if you have a block or a bolster here, we're going to place it on the left side of our body, bringing the arms out to the T. We're going to drop the left leg or the right leg over to the left side of the mat. Trying to keep the shoulder blades rooted to the earth. Finding this nice juicy twist all the way from the hip to the ribs to the shoulder. Maybe even adding on here by playing with the gaze, the drishti, by bringing it all the way over to the right side of the room. This is good. Stay here or add on by extending that right leg out to the hands here, grabbing around the toes. Allow the body to soften. Choose to take a deep breath. And choose here to not listen to the stories that begin to come up. The mind creates all these stories, these realities that are often so far from the truth. Bringing your attention to your core here. On your next inhale, pull everything back to center. Give yourself a nice tight squeeze. And switch legs here, pulling the left knee into the chest. Giving it a nice tight squeeze, rocking it side to side. And then moving your block or your bolster if you have one. And then dropping the knee down towards the right side of the room. Bringing the arms out to cactus arms or T. And begin to feel that lengthening and the twisting that's happening. So good for the organs. Maybe playing again with a drishti, looking over towards the left side of the room, the left hand. Maybe adding on by straightening that leg, bringing the toe to the hand. And breathing here. Each exhale, letting go of something that doesn't serve you. That could be a thought. That could be an intention. That could be an action. Staying here for 2 more breaths. And bringing your awareness to your core, coming back onto your back. Hug that knee in and bring up the other to meet up. We'll begin to rock and roll lengthwise on our spine, eventually coming up to seated here. Nice. All right, so we're going to extend the legs out in front of us, flexing the feet. We're going to bring the left foot either to about a handprint space between the thigh and the foot, or we can even cross it over here. We're going to inhale the right arm up, and we're either going to wrap the arm around the knee, or we're going to hook the elbow on the knee. We're going to inhale, lengthen the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. As we exhale, begin to twist towards the back of the room. Feeling the sit bones rooted down and imagining the spine like one big line from the ground to the ceiling that you want to be as straight as possible. Still trying to stack the shoulders over the hips. Dropping the shoulders away from the ears here. And maybe bringing the gaze a little bit further over that shoulder. Keeping that extended foot nice and flexed here. And breathing for 3 more breaths. Noticing any places of sensation and bringing the breath into that sensation. To allow the body to open up and to breathe into that expansiveness. On your next exhale, slowly release out. Bringing the knees out in front of you. Inhale, reach the arms up. And then from our hips here, we're going to slowly begin to fold. Nice. And when you can't fold anymore, drop the hands down to either side of the legs and tuck the head here. Yeah, feeling free to grab a strap if you have one and wrap it around the feet. To reach for the knees, the shins, the ankles, or the toes. Wherever you're at, staying true to yourself and focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. The idea of a yoga practice is really not just to focus on being aware and mindful on the mat, but to carry this feeling off the mat. Right? The niyamas and yamas are constructed for self-discipline so that when we're in these tough situations, we have habits, good habits already formed. Nice. One more breath here. And then slowly rooting into the sit bones, come all the way back up. We'll take this to the other side, bringing the right knee up towards the ceiling, bringing the foot alongside the thigh, or crossing the leg over. Either way, you want to make sure that your sit bones are connected with the earth. So if you cross and you find one sit bone's popping up, then come back to just having the foot alongside the hip here. Nice. We'll inhale, reach the left arm up, and either wrap it around or hook it here. Trying to drop the shoulders down as we reach the crown up, and we begin to twist towards the back of the room. Inhale, lengthening, and exhale, twisting. Yeah. Beautiful. Knowing that this side might look a little bit different, and that's okay because change is the only constant that we have in our life. Everything is always changing moment to moment, day to day. Like retrospectively, I can look back and would have never thought. So knowing to embrace change instead of try to control it. To be non-attached to the future outcome. Something that we'll never quite reach. But instead, rooting here into this moment of presence. Lengthening and twisting, finding our breath, connecting the mind and the body. Inhale, slowly come back to center. Beautiful. We're going to bring the legs out in front of us and bring the soles of the feet onto the ground. As we bring our hands behind us, the fingers are facing us, and we're going to inhale and lift up to reverse tabletop. Broadening through the front of the body, the heart, the hips. Staying here for one more breath. And then coming all the way down. Nice and slow. Beautiful. We're going to slowly just take a nice little easy seat here, bringing the hands up to the knees, and we're just going to take a nice big circle forward, lifting the heart when we come to the center, rounding the back when we come to the back, really rooting down into the knees, staying heavy in the sit bones. Yeah. One more circle on this side. And then when you're complete, take it to the other side. Working into the hips. Being nice and gentle with the body. Nice. One more circle. And then coming back up to center. We'll bring the legs out into a little V here. We're going to bring the hands over the right side, the right leg, and we're going to point the right toes here. Rooting down into the hands and to the left sit bone, we're going to lift the right leg up and up and up. Lifting from the top of the thigh, the inner thigh. Yeah, working here some strength. And not thinking getting a little strength work here as we pulse the foot up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Point and flex the toes. Pop the knee up and down a few times, and we'll take it to the other side. Yeah, just working on some strength here. A little prep for some more core intensive asanas. Just getting our body warmed up and energetic. Beautiful. We'll start lifting from the left toe, pointing it, lifting for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Point and flex the toes a few times. Pop that knee out. Nice. We'll gently come back to that nice easy seat. We'll interlace the fingers here and push the hands out towards the front of the room, trying to keep the wrists in line with the shoulders. Breathing into the fingers as we stretch them, stretching the backs of the wrists, then reaching them all the way up to the ceiling. Rooting down into the sit bone, we're going to take just a tiny little baby side bend, looking up towards the ceiling, getting high in those top ribs, coming back to center, and over to the left side. Tiny, tiny movement here. Right, we don't want to go all the way over and fall, though if that's in your practice, falling should always be in your practice, but if that huge side bend is available, then take it, coming back through center, releasing the hands out, circling them down. Nice. We're going to tempt the hands alongside of us and just take a look over our left shoulder. Coming through center and over to our right shoulder. Coming through center, over to the left shoulder. Back to center, to the right. Nice. Interlacing the fingers again. We're going to put them behind the head. We're going to flare the elbows open as we look up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to exhale, tuck the chin here. Bring the elbows towards one another. Stretching here in the back of the head and the neck. Rounding in the spine as much as necessary. Beautiful. Gently release out. We're going to bring the hands forward, coming into tabletop pose. And then just take a couple of rounds of cat-cow here. Dropping the stomach, taking the gaze up, pushing through the hands. Then exhaling, curling everything under, bringing the gaze between the thighs. And then just keep moving here at your own breath. Yeah. Just being nice and slow or as quick as you need. Maybe really syncing up with your breath for a little kundalini movement. Maybe staying nice and slow, letting that expansive breath fill up the belly. Nice. And we'll take a look over our right shoulder, pop our hips to the left. Then pop the hips to the right, look over our left shoulder. Yeah, just a couple little C shapes. Nice. So this idea of saucha, of purity, purification, cleanliness, let's talk a little bit about that while we're in a toe stand. So curling the toes under here, sitting the hips back onto the toes, maybe manually adjusting the toes here. Sometimes my toes don't get all the way under. So just reaching back and sitting up nice and tall, sending the breath all the way down to the spine. So this idea of saucha is choosing wisely. Choosing wisely of what we consume, of what we think, of the choices we make, so that we can stay as pure as possible, right? If we're going to continue to watch the garbage TV shows that maybe are just pure entertainment and great, we're going to find that that's what our mind is filling up with. If we're going to continue to get to a point of drinking and excessiveness every night, that's going to become our habitual, our habits, our norm. So this idea of saucha is choosing wisely what we pick throughout the day, throughout our weeks. Beautiful. Let's come back onto the hands and gently slap out the feet. We want to be conscious of what we put into our body and our mind and our energy. So that even comes to this idea of thoughts, right? Like we can really dwell on the negative things, but we can also dwell on the positive things. And wouldn't you say that when you dwell on the negative things, everything else is just kind of like negative? So choosing to fill up the body and the mind and the spirit with what is good. Let's come into bird dog. Inhale, reaching the right arm up towards the front of the room. The thumb is pointed up. Staying here, adding on by extending the left leg out behind you, toes pointed down. Nice. Finding the core activated here. Finding that standing hand to really push up and off the mat. Nice. And let's just take some pulses here by pulsing the arm and the leg up at the same time. Pulse, pulse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep it lifted. Nice. Gently bring the hand down. Bring the foot down. Keeping the leg extended out. We're just going to rock the heel back. Really pushing into the hands to find some stretch. And then gently come forward and back. Release that knee down. Wiggle the hips side to side. Take a cat and cow. Beautiful. We'll take it to the other side. Extending the left foot out and the right arm out. Coming into bird dog. Imagining one line of energy is shooting all the way through the front of your fingertips into your shoulder, your core, and out through your hip and leg and foot. Yeah. So this idea of purification, sages say that it's not only a function for the body to heal and be healthy, being conscious of the choices, being aware of the choices that we make for ourselves, but it's also a doorway into a deep and meaningful practice of meditation and functioning. Let's pulse up here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Set that foot down, that hand down. We'll keep the leg extended here. We'll gently rock back. Breathing into that calf, the ankle, coming forward and then rocking back. Nice. Beautiful. Gently setting that knee down. We're going to walk the hands out forward, coming into an extended puppy pose. Keeping the hips stacked over the knees here, dropping the forehead or the heart down towards the mat. Allowing yourself to reconnect with your mat and your body if your mind has begun to drift. Choosing your thoughts wisely. It's kind of like the idea of kindling for a fire. Right? If we are putting kindling for making a fire, choosing here what fuels our fire and fans our flame. Right? If we're putting plastic into our fire, we're going to be burning toxic chemicals. So instead, we want to have nice chopped fresh wood from the forest. We want to build off of what is good, what is positive for us, for growth, so that we can be great in our present moment. One more breath here. Nice, and gently release out. We're going to bring our hands down onto the ground here, coming into Sphinx pose. So rooting down into the pelvis, bringing the elbows directly underneath the shoulders, spreading the palms out wide. You have about shoulder width distance apart between the hands here. And we're just going to inhale, lift the chest, let the neck get nice and long as we breathe into this baby back opening. So this idea of purity and cleanliness, as the mind chooses wisely from our emotions and our thoughts, our body becomes purified. Our mind becomes purified, and we can experience this huge radical shift in our health, in our happiness, in our mentality, and the way that we interact with one another. Gently bring your gaze over your right shoulder here. Trying to drop the shoulders away from the ears. Looking back towards the back of the room. Then coming back through center and over to the left side. Lengthening the crown up towards the ceiling. Finding this nice gentle twist. And then back through center. Nice. Beautiful. We'll gently release out, bringing the hands underneath the head for a moment. Shaking the hips side to side a few times. Nice. And then we'll come gently back into that Sphinx pose, spreading out through the hands, but this time extending the legs out to a nice little V here. Rooting down into the pelvis and the elbows, we're going to lift the right leg. Lift it up. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We'll take it to the other side. Lifting, lifting. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Gently come out. Bring the arms to T here. Resting the right cheek on the ground. We're going to bend the left leg towards the body. And slowly bring it up and over towards the right side of the room. Rolling up onto the shoulder blade here. Using this top hand to help either expand out through the shoulders to find that opening in the back of the shoulders, or to help roll up on that shoulder girdle and find that strength and flexibility in the front of the shoulder. Keeping the left foot nice and planted, or maybe reaching it out. Just exploring here, finding what works, finding what doesn't. Nice. 2 more nice deep breaths here. Maybe reaching that top hand around for a tiny little bind. Then gently releasing out, coming back onto the chest, resting the opposite cheek now. Windshield wiper the legs back and forth a few times. And then we'll take it to the other side, bending the right heel towards the bum. Inhale, lifting the knee up and dropping the foot over towards the left side of the mat. Really reaching out through those fingertips. We're bringing that hand underneath the elbow here to really open up in the front of the shoulder. Finding what works for you. Being authentic to your practice and yourself. Coming back to the breath anytime the mind wanders to your to-do list or your day, or maybe any of the emotions or sensations that are coming up when we stretch this joint we use continuously. Nice. 1 more breath here. And gently coming back through center. Wiggle the hips back and forth. Nice. We'll bring the hands out to either side of the mat, stacking the elbows directly over the wrists. And we're going to peel the chin and the chest up, and then exhale down. Inhale up, taking these undulations. Exhale down. We're going to add some shoulder dips here. And just getting some movement into the shoulders. Maybe looking over that top shoulder as you dip it down. Getting a little wild here in this wild cobra. Nice. And then bringing the hands, the elbows alongside the body, really tucking them in. We're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders here. We're going to slowly come up to baby cobra. And we're going to exhale down, inhale up. Exhale down, finding these spinal waves here. Yeah. Flexing and extending our spine 2 more times. Nice. And then we'll gently make our way up into all fours, coming into our tabletop position, curling the toes under, lifting the hips up, coming back to downward facing dog. Spreading out through the hands here, lifting the hips up and back, dropping the head between the shoulders, between the biceps as we shake the head yes and no a few times. Pedal out the feet a few times. Yeah. Maybe spread the legs wide and knock the hips side to side. Maybe lift a leg. Finding some movement in your down dog to just make it feel really good. We talk about landing in a yoga pose. We're finding a yoga pose because it's just so hard to land in it, right? Like our body. Nice. And then find a few minutes, a few breaths of stillness here. What if I just told you the rest of the class was a down dog? Just joking. I would never do that. Beautiful. Really spreading out through the fleshy thumb and L of your first 2 fingers. And allowing the insides of the elbows to turn towards the front of the room to find this external rotation in the arms. Nice. Then coming up onto the tiptoes, we're going to tiptoe, tiptoe, coming towards the hands here, finding a forward fold, bringing a block underneath the hands or reaching the hands towards the ground here. Bending the knees as much as you need to take this out of the back of the legs. And to instead focus it in the spine and the lengthening of the spine here. Yeah. Beautiful. And wherever you're at, we're going to bring the hands down to a block or the mat, and we're going to slowly straighten the right knee as we amply bend the left. And then we're going to switch legs, bending the right knee as we straighten the left. And then switch, switch. Coming into like this walking uttanasana. Really working into the back of the legs. Nice, and then just coming back to center. And slowly rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae. Having the head and the neck be the last thing to come all the way up. Nice. And then we're going to reach the arms overhead here and bending down so you can see me. We're going to bring the arms out to T, trying to keep the hands nice and spread and over the elbows here. We're going to draw the arms back, take the gaze up. And then we're going to exhale, tuck the chin, bring the hands to touching. Inhale, open up, open through the heart, take the gaze up towards the ceiling. Exhale, close everything off, really rooting into all four corners of the feet. 2 more times here, opening and closing. Opening and closing. Nice. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. And then exhale, fold forward at the front of your mat. Grab opposite elbows here for ragdoll. Gently swaying side to side. Nice. We'll plant the hands here, step back to downward facing dog. Take a vinyasa here if that's in your practice. Otherwise, we'll all meet in downward facing dog. On your next inhale, reach your right leg up, lifting the heel up towards the ceiling, keeping the toes flexed down. Nice. Set that foot down. We'll take 3-legged dog on the opposite side. Lifting from that left heel, spreading out through the hands, and then setting that foot down. 3-legged dog on the right side again. Lifting here, and then we're going to inhale, draw the knee to the nose as we come forward into high plank. We're going to set that foot down where the hand was and frame our front foot with both our hands. Finding a nice low lunge here, pulling that right hip crease back, drawing the crown of the head forward, and then everyone set that back knee down. Keeping the toes tucked or coming onto that top of the foot, and allowing the hips to really sink down towards the ground here. Nice, yeah. Beautiful. Staying here for one more nice deep breath. And then bringing the hands up onto the thighs, stacking the shoulders over the hips here. Nice, yeah, we want to keep the front knee directly over the ankle if possible. And we want it going towards, we don't want it falling in or out. So we want to just keep it shooting towards that baby toe edge as much as possible. Nice. One more breath here, maybe lifting the hands. And then exhale the hands down to frame that front foot. We'll slowly glide our hips back as we come into a half splits. Everyone inhale, come up, reach the arms up. And then we're going to fold at the hips here. Then gently coming back into that front foot, we're going to pop that back knee up and come into a crescent lunge, lifting the arms up here, coming into this nice high lunge, dropping the shoulders away from the ears as we broaden through the chest here. Nice, gently pivoting on the back foot, moving into warrior one. Drawing that right hip crease back, spiraling that left rib forward, maybe taking the gaze up towards the ceiling. One more breath here. And then exhale the hands down. Step that back foot to meet the front, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, finding length here. And then exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up, extended mountain pose. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up, find length, find space. Exhale, fold. We're going to step the right foot back, coming into a nice high lunge here. Drawing the left hip crease back, drawing the crown of the head forward, reaching that back heel back. Nice. And we'll gently set that knee down. Rocking the hips towards the back of the room, coming into our half splits, adjusting how you need to, keeping room for the hips. And then we're all going to come up, reaching the arms up overhead, folding at the hips here, finding a nice length in the spine. So we draw the crown forward, eventually dropping the hands down, tucking the chin, and breathing into that hamstring as we keep our foot nice and flexed. Nice, gently releasing out, walking that hand forward. We're going to curl the toes under, we're going to bring the hands up to the thighs here and really let the hips sink down towards the mat. Drawing that right hip crease forward and the left back. Nice. And then we're going to slowly find our crescent lunge, popping off that back knee, reaching the arms up, reminding yourself to focus on what you can control, your breath, your thoughts, and letting go of what you can't. One more breath here. And then we'll pivot that back foot, letting that foot come out to a 45-degree angle. And we're going to bring that right hip crease to the front as we pull our left back, broadening through the chest, taking the gaze up, drawing that front knee forward. Equal weight distribution in both feet here, as if we're going to rip our mat right in half here. One more breath. And then exhale the hands down. Plant the hands, step that front foot back, come into a high plank pose. Breathing here. And then pushing back to downward facing dog, pedaling out the feet. Nice, we'll inhale, reach that right leg up, three-legged dog. We're going to begin to stack the hips, bring the heel to the bum, look under the right shoulder here. Nice, we're going to slowly straighten that leg out and pull it through towards the top of the mat for half pigeon. So we're bringing our right knee forward, And we are trying to bring our shin parallel with the top of the mat. Now I have a lot of knee injuries, so I do keep my knee more at an angle, more closed, to allow my hips to sink down towards the ground. So feeling free to put a block underneath that hip, wherever you're at, trying to square the hips to the mat and finding length here, drawing the crown up here. That back foot is reaching out towards the back of the mat, and we're gently going to fold over that front leg here. And each exhale, allowing the body to soften, to choose wisely our thoughts. Dropping the head and breathing into any places of tightness. I'm looking at my phone to keep time, since time seems to go so slowly in this pose for me. So I'm going to focus on my breath, saying Om as I inhale and Om as I exhale. Om, Om. Saying it out loud or just in your head to help you keep focused on your breath and not spiraling into the stories. Practicing here to just watch our thoughts and our emotions, like when you lay in the grass and you look up at the clouds and the clouds change and make shapes and slowly float away, maybe quickly depending on the day. So just imagine yourself laying in grass, letting the thoughts just float like clouds in the sky as our breath anchors us here into this present moment. We're expanding through the hips. We're breathing through the tightness. We're finding opening and softness. Gently walk the hands up. Stay here or reach around for your ankle or the top of your foot, coming into a half king pigeon variation. Trying to keep the hips nice and square towards the front of the room. Gently release that foot down, bringing the hands down, popping up on that back foot. We're going to scoot that leg all the way back to three-legged dog. Nice, pedal out the feet as needed. We'll inhale, lift the left leg up, and then begin to stack the hips open up here. Yeah. Then gently come through, setting that knee down, finding your variation of half pigeon. Feeling free to bring a block or a bolster or pillow underneath that floating hip. Squaring the hips off towards the corners of the mat. Finding length here. And then folding down. Dropping the head. Maybe the side looks completely different, and that's okay. We're trying to bring equal balance. So just breathing here into the body. Letting go of any gripping or tension. Gently releasing out, coming up onto the hands, staying here, maybe reaching around for that foot. Just bringing a little bit of play and fun. And then gently coming onto the bum, bringing the legs forward. We'll gently make our way all the way onto our backs, hugging the knees into the chest, drawing our forehead up to our knees. Inhaling here, then exhaling out through the mouth. We'll stick the tongue out as we inhale and exhale out. Gently release out, setting up for your Savasana. Nestling the shoulders under. Maybe even if you're by a wall, coming up to Savasana with legs up the wall. And then just settling in. Taking this pose like you did every other asana with intention, with mindfulness and awareness. Really allowing the mind to empty out here as the body sinks into the mat and relaxes. You're complete in your Savasana. Gently bring your hands to your forehead center. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you can take what you learned, these yamas and niyamas, idea of purity and non-attachment, off the mat with you today in the world. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.